Hello world, the name's Hot Todd, and today I want to talk about someone that's gained a lot of notoriety in the comic book community in the past year. Diversity in comics. At first he was just known for his videos shitting on SJW Marvel books, calling out the stupid and absurd things in them, the lazy writing, normal problems bad books have always had, but he got fixated real quick, always being bothered by non-issues. Let's list out some of those non-issues right now. Number 1. Too many LGBT characters. He always brings up that they're a minority, not realizing that maybe that's why so many writers focus on them these days, wanting to give the constantly growing number of LGBT readers more characters like them, more stories that relate to their personal struggles. Yes, it's entirely possible to relate to and love a character that's not exactly like you, but a lot of people like having those kinds of characters anyway. On top of that, these are fictional worlds, so writers should be able to have as many LGBT characters as they damn well please. If the story is bad, focus on that rather than the sexual orientation of the green alien girl. Women and men in opposite places in certain situations is number 2. This includes, but is not limited to, women proposing to men, women busting men out of a bad situation, women teaching someone a kind of lesson, the comic focusing on what the woman is doing more than the man in the book with his name, because having a certain character be more vital to a story you're telling that spans multiple issues and 1 or 2 isn't a thing, etc. Number 3. Vulnerable must be a soy boy cuck. This criticism is frequent in his Tom King Batman reviews, but is frequent in other things he reviews too, like, Marvel. He sees male characters that aren't biting their teeth into the flesh of a still-breathing great white shark as a sign of weakness. All jokes aside, he always calls male characters weak when they show vulnerability and that they aren't immortal badasses, because we so often forget that characters are more than their hero personas. Brown in color, oh god, not another. Whenever he sees a new book or book he hasn't read or any book introduce a character that is any shade other than white, he'll automatically assume it might be SJW. I get that he doesn't automatically think it is, but he still sounds like a fucking idiot when he says, I thought this was gonna be SJW trash, judging by the name or cover. Or, and then this character showed up and I was like, oh boy. It's time to stop, Zach. Number 5. Trying to teach lessons of acceptance that echo the modern age, SJW propaganda. Bonus points if it's a younger character whose parent or friend is trying to teach them these things. Number 6. Saying words like dude or OMG because I guess it's not normal for normal people thrust into superhero life to speak like people their age do. Yeah, he gets mad at that. He gets mad at any character speaking like this. And I can see his point when the character comes off as a 50-year-old trying to sound hip, or literally is that. But when it's in younger characters saying these things naturally, you sound like an idiot for calling it callous. The whole point behind that is to show that they're still new, inexperienced, or young. Or maybe that's just how they speak. Number 7. Titties aren't the size of melons must be because they're masculine. He always fixates on breasts, and almost always complains when they're not big. Complaining when a character is drawn like breasts and hips don't exist is one thing that is happening in a lot of books these days. But he bitches when the titties aren't big. Does he not realize that some people like smaller chests? That plenty of people find that sexy and attractive? That plenty of people with smaller tits exist? This is coming from me, a raging power girl defender too. So don't start accusing me of liking masculine women or some dumb shit like that. Which, number 1, wouldn't even be bad? I don't know. Anyway, number 8. This list goes on and on. You get a basic idea by now. DNC's main target when it comes to his reviews is Marvel Comics, of course. I'll give him this. Sometimes he makes legitimate, sound complaints. Too bad those get overshadowed by the callous, idiotic ones I listed previously. Another favorite target of his are indie books with creators he knows or thinks are SJW writers, like Kwanzaa, Mags, and others. And oh boy, he loves getting books with non-generic looking women on the cover and hopes it's going to be cringy. He has a type, is what I'm trying to say. It sounds obsessive and kind of worrisome, doesn't it? Don't worry, things will only get worse. If DNC had just continued shitting on Marvel books or bad books in general, and not directly making videos calling out creators, I don't think he'd be as villainized as he is right now. Let's get this out of the way. The things he said about some creators don't just border on racism, sexism, and transphobia. It is those things. One example I have is like him calling Mags Visaggio a trans trender and constantly calling her a he in his videos. It's not your place to determine that, Zach. It's no one's but hers. Just because she says and does things and thinks things that don't fit your view as a proper trans woman doesn't make her identity any less valid. Stop that. DNC also constantly, and I mean constantly, making videos and tweets about Heather Ontos is just borderline fucking obsession. He's stalking her. Clear and simple. He's stalking a lot of her social media. It's fucking creepy. Who cares why she was hired? If she is a detriment to the company, she'll be phased out. Stop fixating on her. She's not the reason anything is the way it is right now in Marvel or anywhere in the comics industry. She's a fucking employee. But she doesn't do her job right, you might say. Alright, focus on that, rather than making wild assumptions like she was only hired so senior editors could have pretend girlfriends, or fixating on her taking a picture with coworkers. Yeah, the Milkshake Crew controversy, in which one of his idiotic, insecure fans tweeted at him the selfie, saying it represents everything wrong with Marvel and the industry as a whole right now, and starting a shitstorm over a fucking group picture. And even in the past few days, he makes video after video obsessing over her Twitter, the things she says, her friends' Twitters, basically anyone he deems SJW their Twitter, mostly their Twitter, almost always their Twitter. He wonders why people accuse him of harassment. Does he not realize these videos and wild accusations he makes not only are a type of harassment, but most likely will and does influence dumbass fans to personally harass these people in mentions or DMs? You don't have to say something to someone's face for it to be shitty and harassing. Ever since that fucking controversy, every other video of his is about some female, person of color, LGBT, or male ally, etc. on Twitter, sometimes 5 or 6 in a row. It's literal obsession. And maybe he doesn't realize these things. I get it. You see the medium of comics is damaged because of things that have happened in the past 4 to 6 years. I agree partially. A ton of bad decisions have happened in the past few years, but bad decisions are a staple of this medium. The bad decisions are soon phased out and replaced with different bad decisions that fits with the current climate of society and changes comics with either largely or slightly. Then the cycle continues. What you call SJW comics will be replaced by a different change in a few years. Look, at this point the damage is done. People will always think of a creepy, obsessive asshole when they think of you because of your antics. But it is possible to mend that slightly. Not completely, of course. And by slightly, I mean like the tiniest sliver ever. You're way past, forgiveness. People trusting you, liking you, all that shit. But just apologize. Go back to just talking about comics and keep creators' names out of your mouth. Treat creators' names like dirty words. Don't say them, don't allude to them, and creators might forget about you and move on, like you need to do. Seriously, Zach, give it up. This is a battle you've lost and will always every time you try and fight, you're going to dig a deeper hole. You're never getting out of this hole. Any hope you have to get out of it is gone. The most you can do now is make the hole slightly less deep. People see you as a villain, dude, and you act like it. This not only hurts you, but people who associate with you. It's gotten to the point where if someone creates a dialogue with you and isn't frothing at the mouth with hatred, then the masses will treat them like they're a sexist, racist, homophobe as well. It's the choices you've been making, the things you've been saying, and your fucking obsessions that have locked this view for you. You need to quit the call-out videos. Take a break, think, and look back at the events of the past year. Then, when you come back, hopefully you'll see where you went wrong. Thank you for listening, And I hope you all have a wonderful day, especially you, anybody who stayed until the end. Have a great night.